Hey there, guys. I want to put a quick video out for you today. This is probably my only video of the day because I'm working on a couple of other projects right now. You guys may or may not have heard, but Donald Trump's latest nomination for Attorney General, Matt Gaetz from Florida, has withdrawn his name from consideration. Now, a lot of things to look at here. Let me just go back to the very beginning, first of all. Gaetz is one of those guys who has been a bit of a bulldog. Like, he will go after you. You have to understand that this is as dirty as politics actually gets. If you'll remember, McCarthy, who was the House leader for a very short period of time, he and Matt Gaetz do not see eye to eye. In fact, Matt Gaetz is the one who essentially unseated McCarthy by lobbying against him and claiming that he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do or what he promised to do as leader, and lobbied to get him out of there, and was successful at doing it. So McCarthy, being a Republican also, has been lobbying against Matt Gaetz as far as him being confirmed by the Senate later in January to be Attorney General. Don't let McCarthy act like he had nothing to do with this. This has been a personal thing between these two guys for a long time. So very dirty politics here. The same guys from the same party are fighting each other and lobbying against one another. I think this is McCarthy's way of getting back at Gaetz for getting him out as Speaker of the House. Now, there's a lot of other stuff going on also. Matt Gaetz has been accused of paying for sexual favors. Originally, it was claimed that he paid for sex from a 17-year-old. The Department of Justice has dismissed those claims, or at least they claim they dismissed those claims. They also were not going to be allowed to put the report out from Gaetz on that investigation, simply because Gaetz stepped down from his congressional seat the moment he, heck, I don't remember, was it right before or right after? Like the day before or the day after he was nominated for AG by Donald Trump. So by doing that, he basically pulls himself out of any scrutiny by the Department of Justice, because he wasn't, or at least he's not operating as a congressperson anymore. So a lot of weird politics going on there. There's reports that a portion of that report that, again, can't be released now because he's not in Congress, was also leaked yesterday. That could be a reason also. Matt Gaetz, over the last couple of days, has been going around to all the senators in D.C. and talking with them, trying to plead his case as to why he would be a good attorney general, trying to get some of the ones that may be questionable to support him, in fact. This would be Republicans and Democrats. Remember, there are some Republicans who are fighting against him, or were fighting against him being confirmed anyway. So again, inter-party fighting at its best at this point. One thing that is probably very, telling in this is that let's not even consider the fact that some of the allegations against Gaetz might be true, that he may, in fact, again, they've said that it wasn't an underage person, but there's still some pretty strong allegations that he paid for sex. Well, first of all, I think a lot of people in Congress, not saying it's okay, but a lot of people in Congress have done the same thing. I really do believe this. I mean, I believe that. I mean, you remember the Madam's Black Book that Vitter from Louisiana was busted up in, and a lot of other people. I mean, there's hookers and there's prostitutes in Washington, D.C. They're high-paid people, and they pay for these people all the time, and of course they get them with their positions and whatnot. Would be no shock if Matt Gaetz was one of those people as well. Not saying it's okay, I'm just saying it happens, and this is not unusual if this were to have happened also. But one thing that I think is really critical in all of this, and may have been one of the, turning points in Matt Gaetz deciding to step aside, remember that the Secretary of State, which will likely be confirmed nominee of Trump, is Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is a senator down in Florida. Remember, all this matters. All this makes a big difference. Senator Rubio has a pretty clean track record with other members of Congress, and certainly within the Senate. Maybe too clean sometimes, because he has kind of sided with Democrats at some point. So my point is, he will likely get confirmed as Secretary of State for Donald Trump in January. That's pretty much a shoo-in, right? Well, that's going to leave his Senate seat in Florida vacated, which is also where Matt Gaetz lives. You see where I'm going with this? It would not surprise me if there were a deal that were made. Again, we are talking about DC politics here. Would not shock me. Since Gaetz resigned his congressional seat to avoid the report being able to come out, he's not in politics anymore. If he steps down from being Attorney General nominee, he's not in the cabinet anymore. Guess what he has? No job, no place in politics. Marco Rubio, on the other hand, is going to be Secretary of State for Donald Trump and vacate that Florida senatorial seat, which Matt Gaetz likely made a deal with to get. But the governor can appoint that person right now. That vacated Senate seat by Rubio, the governor, which is Ron DeSantis, can appoint that position. He could easily name Matt Gaetz as the new Florida senator to replace Marco Rubio. I think that's what's going to happen. I think a deal was struck. I think there were other people that likely said, we're not going to confirm you as Attorney General, but we'd love to have you as senator. Or maybe some didn't want him as senator either. Remember, there's a lot of bad blood in Congress and the Senate right now, and Matt Gaetz is at the head of a lot of that simply because he speaks his piece. And let's remember, he doesn't take lobbyist money. In many cases, people who don't or won't receive lobby money, they're seen as outsiders. They're seen as people who think they're better than everybody else because guess what? Everybody else takes that lobby money. So this is a really odd situation. I was a little bit surprised that Gaetz stepped down, to be quite honest with you, because he seems to be a very defiant person. Makes me wonder if there was some actual truth in that leaked report that came out about the sexual allegations, and if there was enough stuff that could come out that would prevent him from getting confirmed anyway. Gaetz did state that he was getting out of the running for that AG spot simply because he didn't want the negative press unnecessarily put on this to distract from Trump being able to do what he was supposed to do and be ready the moment he takes office in January. So again, an admirable thing for Gaetz to do, but we wonder what led up to this that kind of pushed this over the edge and made this happen. So only time will tell. I do think a lot of stuff's going to come out in the next couple of days that will probably put more to this story, but really interesting things taking place in Washington, D.C. right now.
I don't understand the point that you're making.
God save the Queen, man.
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
It's over.